Coming up in this video, how to make your own shiny, happy pieces of this beautiful card that you can then go on to make your own greeting card. Stick around and I'll show you how. Hello and welcome back to a Kooky Corner of YouTube. I am Tori, or Kooky. I answer to both names, so hello. If you're new here, I do all kinds of arty, crafty, stitchery things, basically whatever takes my fancy, because I do like a lot of things. But this one is going back to a piece I did a few videos ago, which was all about collage and kickstarting your creativity. And I showed you all my little craft bit box, and I found these pieces of previously made bits of paper that I asked if anybody was interested in seeing how I made these, and a few of you said yes, I would really like to see how those are made. Now, they're made in a variety of different ways. The technique is kind of the same, but you use what you have. This is what I'm going to stress to you, so don't go crazy and buy a whole load of stuff. You know, a lot of these are adaptable. So yeah, these are bits I've cut like flowers out of that I used to make cards with the flowers on and decorate those up with some wire and stuff. But I will go through that as well, because part of this demonstration is going to be me showing you how I would put together a greetings card. Stick around with me and we'll have a little look and see how to put these together. So I made a few more. This one is the first one that I put together, thinking back to how I used to create these pieces. And it's really quite simple. Basically what you need is, she said, digging deep, a piece of card. Postcard size, whatever size you want to make your piece. You can do it as an A4 piece if you want to go big and make a whole load of one. I quite like the smaller bits and make different ones. That's just how I roll. But yeah, just a piece of, like a postcard size piece of card, like that. Kind of the same thickness as a Bristol board or something like that. Let me take you out a bit further. There we go. Kind of like a Bristol board piece size, and I find that a nice manageable piece to work with. But obviously you do you, and you go with whatever size piece you want to make. This piece, as I say, was made with a piece of card and some aluminium foil. So stuff you have in your kitchen is perfectly fine. I will say it's a little bit delicate. If you can get the stuff that's a heavier weight, you can do that as well, but any will work. So any kind of aluminium foil that you've got will do this. And basically what you have to do, I'm just going to grab, I've got my ruler falling down here that's holding everything together. My life is held together by a ruler. So you've got your piece of foil. Now, when you crumple this, it's not like momigami. You can't go hard with it. It's got to be kind of really gently crumpled. So I mean really gently. So taking your time and just give it, because if you've ever crumpled up a piece of aluminium foil before, you'll know that it rips really easily. Not that that matters too much, because you can patch it together. But I'm just going to show you with this piece how this was made. And then I'll show you a different technique as well. But yeah, kind of opening it out, seeing if it needs a little more, and then just gently encouraging it into some creases. That's how we go with this, like so. Now this piece I've got here is probably not the same size as my piece of postcard, but it doesn't really matter. I can show you the technique as is. So the edges, I want to kind of just make sure they're a little bit crumply as well. It is quite delicate, as I say. You just have to be patient with it. Like this. Okay, I'm going to say that's fine. So I'm going to flatten it out. Again, being fairly careful with it. Really like all these little ridges and things, and this is what your alcohol ink will settle into. I'm going to show you 2 ways of putting this down. So the first way that you can do is to grab some matte medium or Mod Podge, anything like that will do perfectly well. And I'm going to slot this onto my card. I've got a little scrapery tool here somewhere just to spread it around with. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that I get the Mod Podge on all bits, especially the edges of my card. So you can do this with a bit of an old credit card or an old passkey card if you want to. I'll make sure I've got enough on there so that everything gets coated. I'm going to show you another way with something else in a minute that also will work in a couple of ways depending on what you want it for. Okay, making sure those edges are completely covered. I've got a Teflon sheet down underneath, so that's a wipeable surface. So make sure that you've got it covered up. Right, let me pop that to one side for a second. So you take your foil. I'm doing shiny side up because I like the shiny side up. It makes everything nice and poppy pop. Obviously this bit is not big enough, as I said previously, but I have got some here. If I wanted to, I could kind of Frankenstein it together if I wanted to. Yeah, it'll work. Make it work, that's what I say. Just going to Frankenstein this bit together. There we go. In the end, it doesn't really matter. So if you see some spots where it's not quite as crinkly as you want it to be, you can just gently maneuver it into place. So, la 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 la, play around with it. I think I've got to the edge of my card there. Yeah, so I'm just giving those a bit of an extra crinkly bit where I've joined it in. In the end, you'll not notice it. It won't be something that your eye will be drawn to. Usually I try and make sure the foil is as big as a piece of card, but this was just a demonstration piece, so I'm not going to worry too much. Right, so ideally you're going to let that dry, but I'm just going to go straight in for demonstration purposes. So give it some time just to dry off a bit, and then grab your scissors and trim it off. And this has the added benefit of sharpening your scissors as too, because that's one way to sharpen the scissors is to cut through some aluminium foil. So win-win situation, I say, win-win. Okay, so that is all going to stick down nicely, and as I say, you would leave this to dry for a little bit. So it does take a little bit of time, but if you do a few together, and keep that bit for something else, I don't know what. Keep everything, I say. Okay. So one of the simplest ways to get alcohol onto your, or alcohol ink onto your piece is to use some alcohol markers. So I've got a selection here, different colours. I'm going to go in with a thick chunky end, and literally you just scribble them on where you want them. So Got this one here. These are the ones I used to make this piece here, so I thought I'd go in with those to start off with. I'm gonna cut this down the middle in a minute. I'm going to show you what else you can use as well. So this is a really nice and simple way. If you've got some pro markers or some, what are the other ones? Copic pens. Any alcohol marker will work with this. So just play around. Play around with colour. You can even doodle into it if you want to. Just playing around. So I'm just adding in different blues. And these are quite old pro markers, to be fair. I don't do a lot of marker work. I really enjoy it when I do it though. This is why I don't understand why I don't do it more, but I just tend to gravitate towards something else. Anyway, I'm only going to do half of this. So I'm going to get back in with that limey green colour again. Add some more in, start to mix it in with the others. And make sure I've got the edges. Don't have to worry too much because you can always go back in with this. It's not necessary that you hit everything to start off with. Right, that again needs to dry to a certain degree. I'm just going to chop this bit off because I'm going to show you a different one with this one. I'm going to chop it off there and do a smaller piece with that one. Picking up all the bits I've missed. Again, needs a couple of minutes to dry off maybe. And then, then comes the magic bit. So for this piece, for this particular piece, I used some of this glitterific folk art. It's like a glitter glue kind of situation. It's not very easy to see on camera, but that says glitterific. Other brands are available, so your Stickles or your Stickles gels would work in the same way. But I'm just showing you what I actually use for this one. Or just plain old laying down some glue and sprinkling some glitter, that would work as well. But I like the glitter glue because it dries clear and it does what it says on the tin. Let me just clear this brush off. It's not a brush, it's a silicone brush, which is very handy for things like that. So this next bit, let's move that out of the way. I grab hold of me glittery glue. It's got a lid on it, so I'm just going to take that off. Protective bit on. I have been in here. I just put this back on again just to keep it, you know, kind of together. I have got a smaller scrapery do somewhere on my person. Because this clearly will not go in there. I've got a smaller one. Hold on. Here we go. I go in and I grab out a glob of it. In fact, if you want to, you can squeeze some out and glob some on. And then that gets spread as much or as little as you want it to. It's all right, this is sticking to my hand because I'm doing this a lot quicker than you will have to. You leave yours to dry. But for showing you purposes, I'm hurrying the technique, so to speak. And these will still be usable for me. Oh yes, they will. I'm going to have some fun with these. So that's that one. And it's really quite effective. Try and get the rest of that off there. I don't want to waste any. There we go, spread it out a bit. We've got some really nice big flakes in this one. That's why I like it a lot. So let's clean that one off. That's also what I like about these silicone brushes or tools, is that they can be cleaned off and then all the glittery bits are contained in there, and that can be thrown away rather than washed into our water system, which is not a great thing for glitter to be doing with. And I do love glitter. I am a big glittery fan, so it's nice to be able to contain it in that way. Okay, so that's one piece, and that's going to go off and dry off there. I might just have to look at that edge and make sure that's stuck down, but hey, I'm going to let that dry, give myself a wipe down. So the other piece that I cut off, similar manner, but this time I'm going to use something different. So let me just grab these up. I've just ordered some more of these actually from Jackson's because I like them. What colourway shall we go? Let's stick with the same colours, shall we? Or maybe not. I'm going to go blue, yellow, this greeny colour here. So these are alcohol inks. You can get many different alcohol inks. The ones from Jackson's I'm hoping are going to be really nice. These are actually the Tim Holtz ones that I've already had. I've had these for years, and a little goes a long way. So if you are a sensible person, you'll put some gloves on at this point. I, as you can see, am not particularly sensible. Also, you need to, I'm in a well-ventilated area. That is also another thing. Whenever you're working with either alcohol markers or specifically these loose inks, then to be working in an area that has ventilation is paramount. So this is a darker blue. Quite liking that. So I am going to find my other thing. Hopefully I can find it soon. These things are just hiding from me. Right, okay. And I'm just going to manoeuvre this around a bit. We can add in more. It's quite potent, the smell, so yeah, just be aware of that. So I'm going to make a couple more of these. This is a sunshine yellow. Yeah, I'll show you the Jackson's ones when they arrive, because they're a really cheap option, and I'm hoping they're going to work just as well. I can't see any reason why they wouldn't. So a bit more on the edges again. Whoopsie, come back. Make sure you always replace the lids, says the voice of experience, or work on a tray, or replacing the lids is better because then you don't waste anything. So another background. I'm going to wipe that down. Get rid of that. If it stains your mat, it doesn't really matter. It's just a way of it. Alcohol inks will tend to do that, especially on an old Teflon mat. It doesn't stop this from working and doing its thing, so that's fine. So again, what you do is this, let it dry, and then you can tend to feel at some point, yeah, this is still wet. At some point it becomes tacky. And there's another little technique I'm going to show you with a tacky alcohol ink that you can use. So there is a sweet spot when the alcohol ink has not quite dried and it's a little bit tacky, and then you can go in with this magical item, which is the deco foil, or some kind of decorative foil, the stuff you can use on, it's like a transfer foil. So you feel around where the tacky bits are. I think I've got most of the ones on this one. But once you find a little spot that's a bit tacky, you can lay down your foil on top. And if you want to, you can get like a bone folder and rub it. And then it magically transfers to your piece of foil. How wonderful is that? Now, I don't want a specific like definite spot where this is. I just want it to be as and when, wherever it hits. And that's the perfect technique for me for this one. I absolutely love this. So there are many ways you can play around with this, for sure, and with different kind of backings. I know some people use the backs of photograph paper to do their alcohol pieces, but this one for me, I quite like the fact of the foil. The foil gives it that extra dimension with the crackling. I really just love that texture so much, and this for me is like, it's joyful. I love it. So that's another thing that you can add in to your pieces, along with like the glitters and such. I am a magpie, so anything that shines will be there for it. But this really is a nice technique to use onto your base piece. And I just love the fact that it's just come from something simple like foil, something simple like that. So instead of going in with this one, I'm going to go in with this Stickles. It's a Sunburst Stickles, give it a bit of a shake. And I'm going to squidge it on, squidgle like that. And I've got some gold as well. I do like a bit of gold. So squidgle with some of that. This is a finer glitter, so it gives you a different kind of a look. Again with my brush, I'm just going to spread this around. Really like how this is a little bit more subtle than the other one, but still gives you a nice look. So there we are. So as I say, you can use any kind of glittery glue. If you've got some other glitter glue that you want to use, I have some of this Deco Art Twinkles as well. That works. I think that was from Hobbycraft. I'm not sure exactly where that got from, but I pick up glitter wherever I can get it. So that's the background. Now, let me move this out of the way and I will show you another way of putting the foil down on card. So this stuff is glorious. It is a double-sided adhesive. This is in A4 sheets. I got this from Amazon. I think it's got 10 or 12 pieces in a pack. I'm not quite sure. And you can cut it down into different sizes. So I've cut this one down to like a postcardy size. You can do this one of two ways. You can use this on its own, or you can attach it to a piece of that postcard stuff that I told you about previously. So let me get one edge going on to find the edges. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna line it up with that there. And as I say, you can just do this with the with the double-sided card itself, the double-sided paper itself, and just use that. In fact, this one is just onto double-sided paper, which will make it a thinner thing because it's got a backing on, which makes it sticky. So yeah, one side, they're both sticky. You just got a piece of paper on both sides, which I will show you in a second. So this one is all stuck down. Use my bone foldery to make sure that's down. And then I'm going to take the top bit off as well. It is here somewhere. I shall find it. I shall find the end. There we go. And you've got another piece of adhesive there. Now, if you don't want to mess around with Mod Podge and such, then this is your way to go. So where are my crinkly bits? I'm gonna Frankenstein this bit as well. This is just totally sticky. And it's just a case of being careful, again, so you don't rip your foil. Laying down your foil. So even if you've got small leftover bits of foil, this will work. As I say, I usually cut one a bit to the size of, but as I say, we're playing a bit of Mary Shelley at the minute and making our own Frankenstein's monster. Doesn't matter if it hangs over because we can trim that bit off at the end. So I'm going to crinkle this bit, trying to be gentle, just gently crinkling. I quite like this. I like playing with aluminium foil. Some people, it puts their teeth on edge, but I love it. So, crinkly crinkle, wrinkly wrinkle. I'm going to go in this top corner, I think, about there-ish. Let's get this down and see what we've got left. Okie doke. So, having fun with foil. Fun with foil. That's what we'll call this. That's going to be too loose, so just pull it off. A little bit there. A little bit there. Aha, my monster, you are coming together. Right, okay. That piece will go in there. Crinkle, 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 crinkle. It was almost made for it, that little spot there. A little bit there. Turn it round. Use the right stuff. I like the shiny side rather than the dull side, to be honest. I've taken off bits that haven't stuck. So again, then you have a piece without the mess of the Mod Podge. So it's another item that you may not have, but you may have some like double-sided tape, the thicker stuff that you use for carpets. So double-sided carpet tape works well, or the thicker double-sided tape. You can just lay that down in strips on a piece of card. That would work also. I just find I've got this and it's easy. And I use it for other things as well. So there we go. So we got another piece of aluminium paper to work on. And in that case, I would then do one of the techniques I've just showed you, either with the markers or with the alcohol ink. So I'm throwing it all over the place to decorate it up. Just seeing the spot there that needs a bit more, just in that corner. And voila. So 2 ways that you can get your base and 2 ways that you can apply alcohol ink, really, and then go to town with the glitter. You could just go with the alcohol ink. Another thing that you can do is you can apply acrylic paint over the top. So this is a black acrylic paint. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know how well that shows up on camera. But this is a carbon black. This is the high flow acrylic. Any acrylic will work really, but the high flow works really well because it's quite thin. So it works more like an ink, really, an acrylic ink. But that dries really nicely as well on top. So you can get different techniques with this. You don't have to go in with glitter. Glitter is just things that I love. So you don't have to do that. So looking back on these pieces again, you can see, especially this one. Now this one, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to think. Some of them I did with foil, and some of them I did with tissue paper, a really fine, like an extra strong strength tissue paper that's been crinkled up and manoeuvred. So that's a tissue paper. So it gives you a similar effect. If you haven't got any foil, but you have got some tissue paper, play with it, see what you can do. You could even, I mean, this is just throwing it out there, your momigami pieces would also work with this, and maybe just an acrylic, not an alcohol ink perhaps, but just an acrylic to get some kind of a crinkly effect. But I'm working with this at the minute, so I don't want to deviate too much from what I'm doing. So what do you do with it when you've made it? Well, what I do with it is coming up very shortly, so stay tuned and you'll see how I make some greetings cards. Okay, so welcome back to Mayhem Central, where I am at the moment putting together a few greeting cards. Now, we've got all our backings. We've got this one, which is on the adhesive paper. We've got, which one is it that's on the adhesive paper? And just the card. Okay, so this is on the adhesive paper, which is stuck onto the card. And this one is just the one that was done with the Mod Podge. So we've got all these different things. Now, this one's an interesting one. If you just do it straight onto the adhesive paper without any backing on it, that means you can peel off that back and stick it straight on. This also means that if you wanted to create some of your own, like, tape, then you could literally cut yourself a tape size piece, and you could use that in journals. So that kind of sticks down into journals. Let me show you on the back of this one. I'm just going to put a strip of it on there. So hopefully you do have to fiddle a little bit to get the back, because you've got to peel it off, but it's well worth it, she said. Yeah, there it is, I see it. You just got to kind of find the edge of it. There are ways to do this anyway, but I think it's well worth the fiddle just because I like it so much. Okay, so I'll peel that off now. It's quite a strong adhesive as well, which is really nice. So if you wanted to, I'm just going to put this on the back of this greeting card blank. It makes a great tape. So that's another addition for it. It's like a decorative tape. That's the good thing about the adhesive paper. You can use all kinds of techniques to make this, but this is just the one I'm showing you with the foil, which I think works really nicely. Okay, so on the front of this, I am going to... Shall we do another one of these maybe? Or shall we try something different? Let's go with... I'm going to go with this one. So this is the Mod Podge on ordinary card. I'm going to cut myself. You can do this much more precisely. I'm just doing it with a pair of scissors. You could do it with a cutter if you wanted to, but I'm just going in. So I'll make myself a nice little strip like this. And then we stick that down with whatever glue. I've got this art glitter stuff that works really nicely. It's this Art Glitter Designer adhesive. It's got the metal tip on it, so it's really precise, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Depending on what you want to stick on the front of your card, can be quite handy. That's why I've got this one out and trying to flip this over without sticking everything up. So on these long tall cards, I've got a long tall piece. And that's a really nice back. Look at how that shines. That's just beautiful. So I have been busy making some of these. These are pieces of metal that I've cut with my Big Shot, my Sizzix Big Shot. And I was using these thinlets. It's the, what do they call them? Garden Greens thinlets. Garden Greens. And these are quite nice for little, they're a Tim Holtz one, quite nice for little leafy decorations. And I cut some also out of a green paper, so you can use whatever. I use some of this foil, this embossing foil, which cuts really nicely in the Sizzix, by the way. It's a little bit fiddly with these ones in particular, but well worth the fiddle, as I said. And I also cut some of this kind of variegated paper stuff, which is quite nice as well. But I'm going to go on this one. I might go with some greenery like that, or let's have a try. Play around with it, see what looks good. That's quite nice. That's quite nice. I like that. Yeah, I'm liking that. So again, on with this glittery stuff, because it's quite a precise one. I'm going to use this one. Try and get all the little bits. And if it goes over to the front, it doesn't matter, because it is a clear drying glue, which is another reason I'm using it. Trying to hit all those little leaves. Put that back in for the minute. Actually, I'm just going to leave it because I'm going to stick another one down as well. So grabbing that, flipping it over, and this will dry clear. So that's just going to go onto there. We just need to leave that to dry. Press it down. You can weight this under some books, but just make sure you've got something non-stick in between this and the book, otherwise it'll stick to the book. And that's not what you want. That's not the outcome we're looking for. I am being a bit messy with this. I should be a little more tidy, but hey, let's just go with it, shall we? So that one is going to go that way. It's kind of like just some greenery. Might put a little bit more underneath. Bits here. Just want to stick into. One under there for that one, and a bit under there for that one. You can correct this as you go. You know, as I said, fairly forgiving. So that's a simple. I mean, you don't have to do these leaves. You could do whatever you want on these. The choice is yours, she said, trying to put this in the end. There we go. So I didn't want it to seize up or anything. So another thing you could then do then with your card is, as I've got my stickles out, stickles mad, I'm just going to add a few of these along the top for decoration. You could do this with gel pens as well, decorate with gel pens, whatever you have. Use what you have. Use what you have. Don't go out buying things specifically. I've used these leaves because I have this Sizzix thing. But you can put anything on there. You know, you could put a piece of stitchery on there if you wanted to. Just that would be as an extra backing. So that all needs to dry now. Also, if I wanted to, I could add into this more, but I think that looks quite effective as it is, because you've got that nice shiny background and then you've got this beautiful, like a matte green paper. So that's working nicely. So as I said, it works really well as a tape. You can use it as a tape, a decorative tape, if you're doing journals, if you want to use it in your collage work. It's a great thing to have. So if that adhesive paper, I would definitely recommend. I think it's about £6 something for 10 or 12 sheets, something like that. Anyway, so let's have a look at some of the ones I've done. So we've got this one here that is drying, so I've just got to remember not to do anything crazy with it. This one here I've not really done anything with yet. That's ready for some more decorating into. But you can see that's one with those 2 squares that I pulled out from my bit box. So that's all decorated and ready to be a little greetings card. And this one here, which was on a bigger, more rectangular card, not as long and thin as that one. And that's been decorated with stickers on the side as well. Look at those, look at it shine, look at it shine. I don't know if you watched, I don't know if you watched The Mighty Boosh, but Mr. Susan always says that about his glittery balls. They are the glittery balls that you hang on trees, should I say. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this immensely and thoroughly, and I love these backgrounds so much. And I can't wait for my alcohol inks from Jackson's to come, because I've got some other things I want to show you. If you want to make collage fodder or backgrounds for cards, greetings cards, these now, I've made I've got 5 of them here now. I'm going to crack on and make a whole load more, and then they're great just for like birthdays or just little thank you notes or whatever you want to use them for, really. So they're going to go off and dry now. I'm going to go off and have a coffee, and I'll be back here very soon with something else. Bye for now.